Hello, this is Ed Keay-Smith from onlineimpact.com.au, the co-host of the Business Marketing Show, here with my host and best buddy, Brendan Tully from the searchengineshop.com. How are you, sir?
Hi, Ed. So does that mean I'm the host and you're the co-host?
We switch around. I got to keep it even so that I'm just not trying to be the big boss or anything silly. We're equal in this show, so we got to share that.
No, that's not what you said. You said I'm the big boss.
This is true. Brendan is the big boss.
That's how you presented your introduction.
That's it. So thank you for tuning in. This is episode number 99. We're quite amazed that we're at episode number 99. Brendan and I really didn't think we'd get past 7 episodes. We thought that'd probably be the maximum we could tolerate each other for. But as it's turned out, it's actually been quite good. And if you've been with us from the beginning, thank you very much. We've got a special episode coming up for our 100th episode, which we'll talk about towards the end of this one. So stay tuned to hear about what that will be. And today we're going to be talking about search engine optimization for online courses. Quite a specific topic. We'll also be going into search engine optimization in general, but people producing courses and online learning platforms are very, very popular and growing rapidly at the moment. So we feel it is a subject that we needed to cover. Mm-hmm. And we have one of the top people on the planet for SEO on this podcast. And then there's Brendan as well.
No,
just kidding. No, Brendan knows more about SEO than the average bear, that's for sure.
We're doing it a long time, Ed.
That's it. And I think we both forget, both being involved with SEO in some way, shape or form for 15 plus years, that there's a lot of stuff that we just take for granted and assume people know, which is a terrible thing to do because most people don't know this stuff.
Yeah. If I knew this stuff when we started, I'd be a very rich man today, Ed, I think.
That's it. Well, you are. You're rich in many, many ways, Brendan. Rich in many ways. It's not just about finance or money. So let's get on with the show.
Yes.
Let's get on with the show. Now, for the people who are listening to this podcast rather than watching our two talking heads on YouTube, we're going to be sharing some slides. So what I recommend, we can talk about the slides and you can listen to the podcast and try and picture what we're doing.
So the slides will be on video, right?
Yeah, the slides will be on video. And what we'll also do, Brendan, if you're happy to, in the show notes of the podcast, are you happy to share the slides, Google Slides link?
Indeed. So the slides are actually a cut down version of a online workshop I presented a few months ago. So we figure slimmed it down a little bit because it was pretty long. So we'll have the slides available. There'll be slides in the video to go along with it. So available on YouTube.
Super duper. Yeah, that'd be great. So if you're listening to the podcast rather than watching on YouTube, if you can either just go on the YouTube channel, the link will be obviously on the podcast on businessmarketingshow.com to follow along, and you can also get access to the slides as well, because we know listening to things sometimes is a bit challenging when we're doing visual stuff.
And we do have some visual stuff. So
yeah,
a couple of slides that are very visual and probably worth having a look at. And there's some stuff in here. I mean, this is also the stuff we've been doing this year more broadly for SEO. And I mean, this probably in the last year represents our biggest change in how we approach SEO and do SEO for clients and for our own stuff. So
cool.
Yeah, changed a lot. The industry's changed a lot. Search has changed a lot this year. So we have had to adjust accordingly. So
as you do, that's the whole digital space. You have to adapt and adjust and go with the flow. So without further ado, would you like to share the slides from your end?
Yeah, let's figure out how we do this.
Yeah, we're very technical here at the Business Marketing Show. We like to use technology to its best advantage for us. So you're probably going to see something pop up on the screen shortly. And again,
just putting the pressure on it.
Just share your screen, Brendan. It's not hard. Come on.
Well, I've got 2 screens here, so I'm like, which
one? He's got 2 screens, isn't he?
Fancy
pants. Oh, look.
All right.
Oh, look at that. We have it. So maybe maximize that as much as possible. Look at that. It's looking superb.
Sweet, dude. You ready to go?
So yeah, go for it. So SEO for online courses and membership sites. And again, for those listening, if you want to follow along, you can certainly listen to it. We'll try and describe what we're seeing as much as possible.
Yeah. Okay. So
go for it, Brendan.
So roll. Okay. So as I said, this is a cut down version of a workshop I presented a few months ago. So really there were two goals for the workshop. So one of them was some simple tactics. So when I present stuff, I do like to kind of set up some goals, like, what you should be able to take away by the end of it. So
of course, good one.
Yeah. So really some simple tactics, some stuff you can DIY, you can move that will move the needle in some way. And if you're going to invest, this will go for about 45 minutes, an hour. So hopefully you can take away some value. So if you're investing an hour listening to this, I'm aiming to give you something to do that will move the needle for you. And a lot of these are very obvious and free. So, and these are things you probably won't find on your typical SEO blogs. Also, and just generally, I'll have a bit of a rant here. The things you read about SEO on the internet are often not put together by practitioners. They're put together by content writers who are probably copying a lot of what other people are saying online. So you always need to be mindful when you're reading stuff online, who you're taking this information from.
Beware the source.
Yeah, I mean, SEO stuff should, for the most part, like I guess we've talked about before, where the industry has made SEO like this black box, confusing, magic secret sauce stuff, but it's not really. A lot of it's based on logic and simple business principles. So, for the most part, you should be able, you might not necessarily be able to do it, but you should be able to understand how SEO works. Like it should, I mean, I'll explain it in a way that is simple and it's easy to understand. Doesn't necessarily mean you can do it all, but you should be able to understand how it works.
Yeah, awesome.
So I'm also going to share out what's changed this year. So like I said, search changed a lot this year. So we had to change how we work our strategy and tactics a lot over the course of the year, especially, we work with quite a few smaller businesses that don't have a huge budget. So generating a result on a small budget can be quite hard. So we have to come up with some creative tactics. So we'll just talk about how we've shifted our approach to SEO and what we're doing differently as well. And particularly moving forward into next year, 2019, those things will become increasingly important. So
awesome.
Talk about this first. So this is a problem, or it's important when you're thinking about SEO and online marketing in general, that you need to separate what you're reading. So we look at things in terms of 3 layers, right? So you have the principles, the fundamentals, the foundational components of whatever you're doing. So in this case, SEO. So they're effectively the rules of the game. And if you think about it in a pyramid format, the rules of the game are at the bottom. That's the foundational layer. The next layer on top of that is the thinking layer. That is where you set the strategy, you work out what your goals are and the strategy that supports that. So the goals really should support the business. Like being number 1 in Google is not a goal. That's really part of a goal. Like the idea should be to generate so many calls from Google search results, or so many email inquiries, or so many sales. That's a clearer goal. So it's really important that this thinking piece is often skipped. So the goals are often poor, and then the strategy is poor as a result. So so that's the thinking layer, and then the top layer is the tactics and the doing. So when we approach any kind of work we're doing, we will start from the bottom of this pyramid. So we make sure that we're not breaking any of the simple rules of the game. And then move up from there, build a strategy that makes sense for the business, the budget, the goals, and then do the doing work. And typically the doing work is the easiest bit out of a lot of it, because all the hard work is done before we actually go and do the execution. And when most people approach, particularly SEO and even social media to a degree, they start at the top, they start at the tactics and doing. They found the latest trick that will do this. Like we've had or I heard if I added a YouTube video to my homepage, I will rank number 1, like just stuff like that. Like that's like, approaching whatever you're doing online from that kind of tactics first approach is never going to work long term. You might get lucky, you might get the odd tactic that works, but long term that's not going to work, and that's not a way to run a business. So that's how we're going to approach these. We'll run through some slides here. So that's kind of the approach we take. So a lot of the stuff we'll be talking about the rules of the game, and explaining when it comes to SEO, there's some simple rules that most people are missing. And when we work with clients, it's, that they realize how obvious some of this stuff is, and
Yeah.
how easily it's been looked over, and how simple it is to fix. And once it's fixed, then they start ranking and getting traffic. Pretty easy.
Awesome.
Okay, so let's talk about search today. What's changed this year? So paid traffic is generally getting more expensive, and it will continue to get more expensive. And people's attention is getting more fragmented, right? Like it's
Definitely.
funny. I've had several clients this year say to me, our AdWords spend is double what it was 3 or 4 years ago. It's like, of course, there's more competitors. There's probably more than double the competitors. People's attention has moved online. And the other problem is that their attention online is being even more and more fragmented. There's so many different social media platforms. People have the attention span of a goldfish. So it's getting more expensive to get that attention as well. Because
and that's what it's all about. It is about getting the attention, and people sort of forget that, Google AdWords has been around for 15 years, and 15 years ago for the same keyword terms, they were getting clicks for 5 cents, and now it's $5. And there's a reason, because everyone's woken up. Well, not everyone. Most people are starting to wake up to this form of getting traffic. So, of course, it's going to be more expensive as time goes on.
For sure. From a search perspective, Google is getting better at weeding out the crap. So generally, Google is built around brands now. So it rewards brands and businesses versus people just trying to game the algorithm. There's still, you can game the Google algorithm a little bit, but you really need to be, if you're going to be in business long term, you need to work on that brand piece. And increasingly more, Google is valuing engagement over just the old school gaps in the algorithm style SEO. So to a degree, a lot of winning about the online piece is about content, and we'll talk about that as well. Google's also getting better at working out the intent behind search queries. So in the past, you could kind of rank, even 5 years ago, you could rank for search terms that weren't really that relevant to you. You could kind of do some SEO work and you could rank for something. But now, if someone searches for dentist in Perth, you really need to be in that location. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard to rank. Like Google is using signals like maps listings and addresses and, postcodes and things like that to work out location, and it's doing its best to match the search term with the search intent. So it's really important you think about that. You can't just rank for random keywords. You need to be focused on getting focused on the keywords that have the intent that's related to whatever you're selling, whatever products and services you offer. So long story short, Google is trying to serve up results that best match the searcher's intent. It doesn't always get it right, but it's getting a lot better at it.
Yeah, for sure. No more tricking the search engines.
Yeah,
people still think they can do that, but
a lot of the tricks are gone. And to make this brand piece, if you've never done SEO before, you're going to find it very hard, or you have a new website, you're going to find it very hard to outrank businesses that have a strong brand or strong presence in the market. They've been around for a long time. And a lot of those businesses have been doing SEO as well. So, a 20-year-old business, just by its very age is going to have a lot of power in terms of ranking in Google, even if they haven't done any active SEO. And then lastly, so customers are getting more tech savvy. People are getting more tech savvy. It's in the past, you could trick people into buying stuff or clicking on stuff or whatever it was. That people are a lot smarter today. People read reviews. People understand that, businesses get negative reviews sometimes. In general, people are getting smarter, and it's harder to trick them online. And they're moving their spend more online. And the bottom line is probably that the total market online is probably increasing as well. But more broadly, their I wouldn't say intelligence, but their awareness of how the internet works is getting better, and bigger market, smarter market, but also more educated as well. So it's harder to trick people. It's harder to sell people stuff without educating them and having proper customer service and a sales piece in place.
True. Absolutely. Yep, for sure.
Good. So a lot of that changed in 2018. So, a lot of people still using an old school approach, and that doesn't work. Like, those fundamental business pieces are really important now. And without those in place, it's very hard to do like SEO that gets results. So let's talk about that. So the old school or the old SEO approach was really comprised of three things: keywords, keyword research, on-page SEO, so tweaking like title tags and meta descriptions, and then backlinks. So that was kind of the old approach, and that worked for a very long time. But it's not really working anymore because that's not how Google works anymore. So if you focus on this old approach, like especially this keyword, focusing on keywords, that is such a one-dimensional approach to search that it's ineffective. So this is the model that we moved to in 2018. So for those listening, we have a couple of things on the screen here. So it's probably worth looking at these slides. So there's really 4 parts SEO is comprised of now. So instead of 3 components, there's 4. If we break it down, so keywords and keyword research has become really, you need to be clear on the products and services you sell.
Yeah.
The sales funnels attached to those, the keywords related to those, the problems and benefits or the problems those products and services solve and the benefits they deliver, and the intent behind people's searches and content to match that. So it's become a bit more complicated around. It's not just keywords. A lot of it is to do with content, understanding the intent, understanding the buyer journey or the purchasing process, and making sure the website matches that or mirrors that.
Yeah.
So keywords it's too one-dimensional now, and this is what it is in 2018, 2019. On-page SEO has really become more about the technology and systems you're using. So, for example, a big component of SEO now is fast, high quality hosting. So the speed of the website, the reliability of the website really impacts how well it ranks. So if you're on crappy hosting, or the website's down a lot or has technical problems, it's going to be near impossible to rank well. So, the technology and the quality of the software and systems you're running is really important. On-page SEO is still a big part of it, but generally SEO best practices has also become a part of it. So things like having a maps listing and making sure that your maps listing on Google, Apple, and Bing, and those maps listings are up to date. The open hours are current, which is a big problem. The details in there are current. The addresses are right, especially across the web. So those aren't really on-page SEO. They're more SEO best practices. So a lot of that stuff is ignored, and that's not really SEO. That's just being organized and making sure your presence across the web is clear. And in the last episode, we talked about that hub and spoke model where there's different properties across the web. So
yeah, exactly. And it's probably worth just emphasizing that a little bit in terms, because a lot of people, they are very Google focused, and in terms of things like map listings and various things like that, and they don't actually give any thought at all to Bing or to the Apple Maps as well. But yeah, you need to have those covered as well, because there's so many people accessing you from various places, and depending on what device they're on, by default they'll have an Apple Map listing pop up, or if they're using Windows services, they'll get that instead. So it's not all just about Google. Yes, Google is the big boy in the room, but it's the other ones are just as important. You've got to
absolutely. And anywhere people are searching, the people search in eBay, they search in Pinterest, they search in Amazon. So these model applies across all those different platforms, and a lot of it is just being organized and being on top of it. Like the open hours is a huge deal, especially for anywhere that people are going to, like restaurants or cafes. Like it drives me nuts when you have Facebook page says one set of open hours, Google Maps says another set of open hours, the website says a different set. Like that's not, you don't need an SEO consultant to have a clear, consistent setup across all of those. That's just pure, being organized, basically.
Yeah, organized and common sense. And think as a consumer, when you're setting up this stuff for yourself, think how would you like it to be when you're searching for a company or a product or a service, and what's the easiest path to connectivity to that company when you're searching for a restaurant or searching for a product. You got to try and put yourself in the shoes of the consumer who's looking for what you've got.
Yeah.
Because then you start to look at things very differently and go, oh, this is really bad. The path to execution of them handing over the money to me to buy my product and service has got so many roadblocks in the way. Mm-hmm. And if I just get rid of those roadblocks, then it's much smoother sailing.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the next kind of square on this map. One is a new piece that wasn't there a few years ago, and that's the user experience, the user engagement with the website,
Yeah.
sales and conversions. So, generally speaking, when people have a good experience on the website, it feeds other search engine ranking factors. They share things on social media, they talk about the site online, they buy your stuff and refer a friend. So that's all tied into it. And a lot of that stuff with being organized with, opening hours and things like that ties into conversions. There's, you said roadblocks, that's people want to buy from you. And, often it's a simple case of they have, 3 to 5 questions they just need answered before they buy. Like e-commerce is a classic one we've talked about before. People need to know how they're going to pay for something, how shipping works, what shipping costs. Those aren't really, there's no rocket science there. It's customer service in, I guess, kind of print form or text form on the website. So yeah, again, it's not specifically kind of SEO, but those are hugely important factors when it comes to ranking a website: sales, conversion, user experience.
Yeah, traffic's only half of the equation. So it's traffic and conversion. So if you get the traffic and then everything you have from that point on, then puts people in a position that confuses them or makes it much harder for them to spend the money with you, then all of the SEO you've done has just been a complete waste of time. So this is equally as important what we're talking about now.
Yeah. Calling it traffic also kind of hides the fact that they're people. So those are people that they have real problems that they're trying to solve, or they're looking to buy something because they want to solve a problem. So, just referring them as traffic kind of hides the fact that they're people. So they're people engaging with your business online at 24/7. So, if you think about them more as people than traffic, then quite often you'll get a much better result. So, and very simple things can make a huge difference in terms of conversion and inquiry and making sales. Like just simple stuff that answers those questions. You probably know people are asking, it just needs to be there front and center. So, okay. So let's talk about the fourth piece here. So backlinks is really, backlinks are still important as part of SEO, but brand is an important part of SEO now. And so is general online activity. So we'd probably lump in there social media activity, likes and shares and things like that. But backlinks is really more about, brand presence, online activity, and the links back to the website. So, it's more broad than just getting links to my site. You need to look, in most markets now, you need to look like a real business. You're not just a website, you're actually a business. So making sure that you are branded appropriately and a consistent brand across the web is really key. Like we've had some clients that have had several name changes, and, some of the Google Maps ranking algorithm is related to a consistent name across the web. So, that's a simple kind of branding issue, but one that can dramatically affect how high you rank in the Google Maps. So so that's how we've been approaching SEO in 2018. So much more holistic, much more about the business, and not just like tweaking things like strategic, much more embedded in the business. And a lot of this stuff transfers across to other marketing channels as well. So, Facebook advertising, even offline advertising, paid Google advertising. So it's not just, SEO just doesn't stand alone. It works in conjunction with these other channels. And like we talked about in one of the other slides, that consumers have become so much more sophisticated. They don't click and buy. They click, they look around, they come back, they talk to their friends or their spouse. They might, come back to the website on their phone while they're watching TV. The journey to buying is so much more complicated than it used to be as well. So, just focusing on SEO as a single channel doesn't really make sense anymore either, because people are bouncing around between all these different marketing channels before they convert as well. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So that's really the kind of high level stuff. Let's get into some more of the tactic stuff. So I think we have 6 slides here where we're going to run through some simple steps, DIY.
Yep.
No cost in many cases.
So we've got slide 1, owning the SERP for your brand. So for those who don't know what SERP is, Brendan, what is SERP?
SERP, SERP, search engine result pages.
That's the one.
Results page. So yeah, so let's talk about this, and we've talked about this so many times, but we just keep beating the drum here that brand
Absolutely, yep.
searches. So by brand searches, we need searches for your business name or the key people in your business. We call them brand searches. Probably for most businesses, are the most powerful and the highest converting terms. And they're also usually the most ignored. So, there's something interesting there. Those, people are approaching them the opposite way. We're approaching this the opposite way to what they should be. So, so brand searches are mostly ignored by both, SEO companies and by business owners. And, these are really important because a single bad review on the results page for your brand name can really, really hurt you. So, there's a couple of kind of action steps here. Is one, you need to be monitoring what the search engine results look like for brand searches. So when we manage SEO for a client, we check that, I think, every 60 days. We go through and make sure everything looks clean. We monitor for bad reviews. So bad reviews are going to happen. That's a fact of life. You're not going to please every customer all the time. But you need to be aware of them when they occur. So basic review monitoring in place. You have a process when someone does have a bad review or complaint, you address it appropriately. And you need to go and claim your brand on the big platforms. So even if you're not actively using them, it makes sense to grab them, because an unhappy customer or competitor will go and grab them if you don't. And we've talked about that for domain names as well, making sure you have the country domain names that are appropriate for your business. Otherwise, a competitor could grab them, and you won't get them back.
Definitely got to do that. And I see that happen all the time. People don't do that, so it's a good idea to get those. Brand jacking. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean that's not all businesses are susceptible to brand jacking. It's basically when someone else is leveraging your brand to benefit them, right? So a simple case of that might be something like, Yellow Pages will go and create, in most cases, a business listing for you, and then because their site has so much power, it starts to rank for, on the front page somewhere when people search your business name. Now, you don't really have control over that listing, and to a degree, they're taking your traffic. So that would be one example. Another one might be if you have an affiliate program, someone ranking for your business name terms, click on their website, they send the person to your website, and they get paid for effectively nothing. So you just need to be aware of other companies doing that, I guess. Just claiming, a basic way is, one basic way or basic brand jacking thing is the domain name thing, and claiming those social media properties, I think.
Definitely.
In a sense, when you search a business name, you just want to see a list of properties that you control, not someone else's properties. Review sites are another one, right? So review sites are a classic one. Trustpilot and productreview.com.au. I wouldn't say they do brand jacking, but they have so much power and authority that they rank for a lot of business name terms, and they can be quite a cesspool of negative reviews and not necessarily justified a lot of the time. Yeah,
you do have to get on top of that sort of stuff, because that's where it starts to it can impact your business quite dramatically. Yeah. And I do know businesses that have even gone out of business because of it, and they haven't got on top of that brand reputation online, and the negative stuff, which shouldn't outweigh the positive stuff, and gets more traction, and that's pretty tragic.
Yeah. The other one there would be, it's not SEO, but watching AdWords for your brand terms. For some of the AdWords accounts we manage for clients, we have bid against competitor brand names. So a lot of the time we suggest to clients that they should run AdWords against their own terms, if nothing but to protect against people doing that. Especially
if you see other companies who. And here's the thing: a lot of people don't realise that it's not against Google's terms and conditions to use brands as keywords to trigger your ads. You can't pretend to be that brand. You can't use the brand's name in your ads. But if you want an ad to pop up that's triggered by someone searching on whatever is your competitive brand, you can do that. Now, there's a danger to doing that as someone who's advertising, because if you're trying to get traffic for people who are searching for something and then you get them to your website, sort of doing a bait and switch tactic, that can end up often not converting, and then you've just wasted your money on your ads. But if you're seeing other companies who are having ads triggered based on your brand name, then you may have a number one ranking on the organic search results, but you certainly need to make sure that you're dominating the paid ad spots as well. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they're getting your traffic.
Yep. And quite often they may not be intentionally advertising against your business name. Your business name might have a word in it that they're targeting by itself, like plumbers is the classic one. So
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, because the word, most plumbers have plumber in the business name. So therefore, all these ads for just other plumbers trigger because of that word. So,
yeah, good point.
All right. I think that all makes sense. Let's move on to the next one.
Slide number. We're still on.
Oh, we're still on that. Okay.
Yeah, we're onto a separate slide, but we're still in the same.
Right.
Same
okay. Topic. I haven't looked at these slides in a while. So, okay. So so more simple stuff for claiming the brand is making sure you have Google, Apple, and Bing Maps claimed and verified, because the maps will trigger, particularly in Google, when you search a business name or brand name, the maps will trigger when you search for that, and it takes up the whole right-hand side of the page.
Yeah.
There's a couple of examples there. If you search WP Speedfix Australia, that would probably trigger that. A review funnel, so you have reviews happening on autopilot. So you should. We talked about negative reviews. Positive reviews are also really important, and a system to get those on autopilot. And it's not good enough to go and ask all your sales team to go and ask people for reviews. That's the wrong way to do it. You need to build that into whatever process. So if you're selling something, build the review request into that business process to make sure it happens on autopilot, and you're not relying on people to do that. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, one of our clients did Redo Breath. We did that for their online. So online stores are really easy to set up, and anywhere where people are buying online and it's being fulfilled online, membership sites as well. It's really easy to ask for reviews. So you can systemize that, and it's called a review funnel. It's really just an automated email, a certain number of days after someone buys, asking for their feedback, and if they'll give you a review, and that review can go anywhere: Google Maps, Facebook. If you want to put it to some other site that does reviews, then that's a simple process of asking for that, and I'm being genuine, right? So asking for genuine feedback and for the review if they're happy.
Yeah.
And then we talked about that, claiming all your key social properties, linking them together if you can. So, some of those properties you're not going to actively use, like you might be on Facebook but not use Twitter. You can automatically post Facebook page posts to Twitter. So that's an easy way to kind of fill them up with content, and just build that into your process. So if you're putting content on the website, then, and have a process where that content goes into other channels, the appropriate channels as well.
Yeah, right. A lot of that's automatable by the different tools like Zapier or this then that, or
well, all of them do it by default. If you go to facebook.com/Twitter, you can link your Twitter account to your Facebook page.
Yeah, exactly.
So pretty straightforward.
Cool. All right. Topic 2.
Let's talk about this. So keyword content matching. This is something that we've started talking a lot about in the last 18 months. So, in terms of the rules of the game, you need a page of content for every search term that you're targeting. So you can't rank for something if you don't have a page of content for it. But a lot of people don't think about that. And then on the flip side of that, you can only have one piece of content for that term. You can't have multiple pages targeting the same search term, and the homepage doesn't count.
Definitely. It seems really obvious, right? I mean, it's always seemed that way to me, that's how it should be. But a lot of people don't seem to get this.
Yeah, I mean, it's the cost of entry, right? It's like, I want to rank for this search term. I want to rank for teeth whitening Perth. And the first question is always, well, do you have a page for teeth whitening? No, I don't. Well,
is it about Perth?
Yeah, that's it. Like that's the cost of entry. Like that, you just cannot rank for that term without that page. Once upon a time you could rank without pages, but today that's not how search works.
Definitely.
So it's a simple case of what products and services do you sell? Do you have a page for each one? What problems do those products and services solve? Do you have pages or content for those? Just being clear, what are the search terms you want to rank for? Match them up to content. If you don't have a page of content for those terms, you're not going to rank for them. So pretty straightforward. We'll talk about this ADA funnel in a minute as well. So it's important because it's important to understand the sales funnel, the sales journey. I think a lot of business owners have this idea, like we've just talked about. People don't click and buy a lot of the time. They're not ready to buy. They're in information gathering stage or the consideration stage. They haven't made a buying decision yet.
For sure.
So you need to understand where the intent behind search terms, where those search terms sit in the funnel, because a lot of those won't be buying terms, but they will be important terms that are part of the sales journey, that if you get that customer early enough in the sales process of the buying journey, then you can often capture that customer if you're giving them enough value or the content speaks to them. So, here we go. So this is the AIDA funnel. So marketing basics, AIDA, awareness, interest, desire, and action. So if you think about the state of people visiting your website, they don't necessarily have awareness of their problem or the products and services you offer or the solution.
So this is the top of the funnel. Just for those again who are listening, we're looking at an inverted triangle or funnel with awareness, interest, desire, and actions going from top to bottom. So awareness.
So at the top of the funnel, your job is to create awareness of problems, solutions, products, and services. The next level down is to help generate interest or increase interest. So someone might be aware of a problem, but they don't care about fixing it. They have no interest in fixing it. So, that might be something like explaining the benefits of a product, or the problems associated with whatever issue they have in their life. So that's all about generating and increasing interest. And sometimes that can involve agitating the problem, or talking about how good the solution is or your products and services are. And then desire, really getting them to want a solution. They want to buy, they're actively looking to buy. And then at the bottom of the funnel, getting them to take action. So whatever the first step is, they're calling you, emailing you, buying, the first step is going to differ depending on the business. So that's broadly the marketing funnel. So it's important to understand how that sits there. In terms of SEO, SEO is relevant for every level of the funnel, but some other platforms aren't. Like, for example, so search is very much a bottom of funnel. Like it's capturing people who are, they're already interested, or they have desire, demand, or they're ready to take action. Whereas something like Facebook ads or Instagram ads is really about the top of funnel. It's about generating awareness. It's generating interest.
And other content, blog articles, podcasts. I mean, podcasts are often they're at top of the funnel quite often. So you are generating interest in what you're doing through the awareness from the podcast.
Yeah. So broadly, it's important to understand that marketing principle, that AIDA marketing principle. So,
cool. Yeah. Next slide, still on this subject.
Yep. So let's talk about keyword research. So, if we break that down, we've talked about a lot of this already. So if we're going to do some basic keyword research to kick you off, what are the brand name or business name terms? What products and services do you sell? Do we have a page for each? We've already talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
What problems do the products and services solve? That should say solve, not sell. What does the customer need to know before buying? That's one, really important. We've already talked about, but it's often glossed over. People probably need to know the price, how to pay for it, how long it takes to get it, or what they need to do, where you're located, that sort of thing. If people are asking questions all the time, customer service or pre-sales questions, those are probably good keywords to target.
So definitely
those, and then looking at your actual keyword tool. So Google Search Console, Google AdWords data, other tools like Keywords Everywhere, Ahrefs, and then probably putting it. And that's the other thing. Like, the keywords and content are the foundational piece of the online marketing strategy. So people have a couple of keywords usually bouncing around their head, but that's not good enough. You need to have a working document. So generally we say you should have a spreadsheet of your keywords, and this can be quite a complicated spreadsheet. Those are matched to a piece of content on the website. If you care about the rank, you should be using a rank tracker, not just like Googling randomly when you kind of feel like you should be on the website. And you need the content. So, they need to be formalized. Like, it needs to be put into a structure. It should have a spreadsheet. That's like the foundational piece of your strategy is that spreadsheet. So you need to treat that with some importance, give it attention. And it's a lot of time. Like that's probably one of the biggest pieces of SEO and the biggest chunk of work when we do SEO for clients is that strategy, content, and keyword strategy.
Yeah, this is why most people don't do SEO because they don't want to do the work.
And this is where the art comes into it, because you look at a keyword and sometimes you need to work out what the intent is behind that keyword, and then look at the search results and look what other competitors are saying. And there's a lot, you can fall down this rabbit hole, but that's where the art bit comes in. Like the technical bit, that's all pretty straightforward, but understanding what people are looking for and that kind of sale, they're really sales prompts, those search terms. People are looking to solve a problem, so there's a lot of kind of art there. There's a bit of salesmanship built into that, and it really is it's not a one and done, it's an ongoing process as well.
Yeah, too true.
Yeah. Okay, this one is specific for membership sites. So we discovered this. One of our businesses, Didgeridoo Dojo, which is an online membership site teaching people how to play the didgeridoo. So we have on that site 190 lessons now on all sorts of different techniques. So we don't give that content away for free, but what we discovered by accident due to the software we used for the membership site was that if we made short preview videos of the course material, that would actually help us rank in Google. So now every technique has a short video that demonstrates the technique without explaining how to do it, which then helps us rank for that technique. So
yeah, makes good sense.
We already have the content, we've just repurposed it, and that it's kind of the introductory piece of content. So that's a really good way for membership sites to kind of get some traction in the search results, because you want people to pay for a course site. You want people to pay for the content. You don't want to give it away for free. So this is kind of a good middle ground where you're still giving them some value, which then you can, and you can give this content freely and publicly. So it's not behind the login, which then Google likes because you can see that content. So
exactly,
you start ranking for that search term. So it kind of checks that box of a piece of content for every search term you want to rank for. So in this case with Didgeridoo Dojo, there's 190 techniques we now have content for that we can give away freely on the website that doesn't negatively affect the commercial aspect of the business.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And you say that all the time on YouTube where there's the snippets or introductions to things. So yeah, very good for those who are running courses to get around that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Or the other one is giving away some of the content for free. So we, on the same site, we give away circular breathing as a particular technique that you need to be able to do to play the didgeridoo. So the first half of our circular breathing lessons are free. So yeah, so that's another way to do it. Yeah. All right. So this is a big one.
This is topic number 3 or slide 3.
So CTR optimization. So click-through rate optimization. I want to talk about this more broadly. So this is where we started with this. So click-through rate is, the percentage of people who see something and then click on it.
Yeah.
But more broadly, this idea of, I guess, contact surfaces, any touch point you have with the visitor, there's an opportunity to optimize it to get, a higher click-through rate or higher action rate. So a big one is CTR optimization from the search results. So getting more people to click on your search results listing. This is an easier way to get more traffic without ranking higher. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, in AdWords, and we've talked about this before, in AdWords, something as simple as swapping the top and bottom lines of copy in an AdWords ad can double the CTR. So it takes it from 1% click-through rate to 2%, which is 100% improvement. So that's double the traffic from the same ad. The same thing applies for organic search. So there's this false assumption, and it happens with the website too. I was thinking about this the other day, but in the search results, there's this false assumption that I'm number one, so I get all the traffic. But that's not correct, because organic traffic isn't just about ranking, or getting organic or SEO traffic isn't just about ranking. You actually have to rank and get the click. And the same with things like social shares. So it's not enough to get 1,000 shares on Facebook. It means nothing unless someone clicks on it. So
yeah,
we can optimize to rank, but there's also things we can do to optimize to get more clicks. So this is a big part of the work we do now, and it's meta description optimization. So I have an example here. So the meta description is the blurb that displays in the search results when you appear.
Yep.
It is a field. It's called meta description. So this example here is from a company called Natural Sacks for a vitamin D3 supplement. So I have a before and after slide. So the before slide basically is the meta description is the description of vitamin D that looks like it was taken from Wikipedia. So it's, you know, it's
yeah, it does a bit.
yeah. So vitamin D3 plays an integral role in regulating the neuromuscular and immune systems, blah, 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 blah. It means nothing. Like there's no selling going on there. We're not talking
Not at all. No.
Now, the thing is, if I'm searching for a vitamin D3 supplement, I already know about vitamin D. I know broadly what it is, and I'm looking to buy the supplement. I don't want a Wikipedia page. So from a getting people to click perspective, this is really bad. Like it's just not enticing at all.
Yeah.
If we rewrite it with click-through rate in mind, we have rewritten it to premium high potency vitamin D3 with cold pressed organic coconut oil for rapid absorption. Buy online with fast, insured worldwide shipping, 100% guaranteed, which is much more likely to get a click.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the thing is, you look at the two and you go, which one do you think is going to get more conversions? I think even someone who doesn't know anything about this stuff is probably going to pick this one.
Yeah. And the thing about this particular product, it does, so vitamin D is fat soluble, which means it works better if you take it with some fat. So this product has coconut oil built into the supplement to help with absorption. So
yeah, yep.
You got to remember that where people, like we just talked about, people assume you're number one, you get all the clicks, but you're not really. Consumers, like we've said, getting much smarter. They click on position 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They shop around. So you really need to be putting your best foot forward. And this is a free optimization. There's no extra cost to do this. Again, it's just being organized and being better at writing.
Yeah.
It's not even complicated sales copy, right?
No. And just to be clear, if people looking, this is not an ad. This is the organic, and it's got nothing to do with coconut oil, but the organic search engine optimization listing. This is not an ad, but there's nothing to stop you using similar terminology in your ad because it's going to have the same effect.
Yeah. And in fact, we often use the ad copy that we have been running in AdWords as a cue to write meta descriptions, or we look at competitors, because if you're running ads, it's probably had some sort of optimization done on it.
And it's a good point, isn't it? To test, you can test your ads to get the winning combination of headline and ad copy to use in your SEO, which is often people try and do it the other way around, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah. The other thing to think about is like Google is really like a paid search engine now with some free results. So, those free results are becoming more competitive. So it's really important you put some energy into it. You got to treat the free results as you would paid results. Like SEO is not free anymore. Well, it's not free. It's never been free, but more competitive. So it takes more work to get there. So you need to, it's more investment to rank. So you really need to treat it with the same level of care as you would the paid search results. And you wouldn't use this slide here in the paid search.
No, you definitely wouldn't. That original one is. Yeah. And this is what makes me laugh. I have this conversation with people all the time, and they say, and they're talking from a personal perspective, that they don't click on the Google ads, because they trust the organic search results more than what's in the ads. And say, guys, it's all the same thing. It's been set up and manipulated to be like an ad. So whether you're clicking on the ad or you're clicking on the organic listing, you're clicking on the same company doing the same thing, or different companies, but they're utilizing that to get you to click. So it's really no different. You're just thinking it is in your head. That's the only place.
Well, quite often I click on the ads now over the free search results, because like my personal perspective, they're smart enough to be running ads, then they're probably a lot more organized than the people not running ads. So
often that can be the case.
Yeah. So anyway, meta descriptions really matter. I think I've got some more here. Okay, here's another one. Putting the phone number in the meta description can also help people then get the answer they want from the search results without even having to visit the website.
No, that's it. And that's assuming you want the phone to ring. There are some people who don't want the phone to ring, so that's probably not a good idea.
And some businesses need people to visit, or some websites, we actually have to get the visitor, like an affiliate website or an e-commerce website. we really want them to visit first. But
yeah. But again, horses for courses. If you're a service-based business and you want the phone to ring, having your phone number in the meta description is a very good idea, and not done by many. It's being caught on now by a lot of other companies.
Yep. Every time I do this, we come back to the search results a month later and half the competitors have copied it.
Yeah, it's like, well,
So, but it still works. So that's the point. Like if people can get the answer they want directly from the search results, then, that's a win. We can get even a call without even having to get the visitor. So we've removed, like you said before, we've removed more steps on the process, removed some of those obstacles. So.
Yeah, I wonder if Google will penalise for that at some stage, because, the thing is, it's not costing them anything technically, because it's not in an ad, it's in the organic listing. So they probably really don't care.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. Cool. Okay, so let's talk about quick how to do this. So just write better copy. So the meta descriptions actually really, really, really matter. So you need to have unique meta descriptions for each page, ideally. And it's not hard to write them, but you probably do need to handwrite them. And this is a big thing we do as an SEO agency, is like handwrite meta descriptions in some cases for hundreds of pages or thousands of pages. But if you have a big site, start with the top 20 pages, do those. And if you're working at a fast pace, writing 4 to 6 of these an hour would be a super fast pace. So it is going to be a bit of a process. Some other things you can do. So capitalize the start of all the words that are important.
Yeah.
Which we know from AdWords makes a big difference.
For sure.
Using all caps for important words, which you cannot do in AdWords, probably because it works so well. So, for example, free, fast, bonus, guaranteed.
Big one.
Yeah.
That's done a lot in traditional copywriting. That's a big thing. But yeah, as you say, Google AdWords or Google Ads have done forever, really stopped you from doing that.
Yeah. So, it's basically, it's copywriting 101. So unique meta description for each page, and each page should be unique. So it should be easy to write a unique meta description and spend some time on it. Use these simple copywriting tricks. And the last one is making sure, so this is what appears in the search results. So there's also something called, so these are people are probably familiar with the meta description field. They would have seen meta keywords back in the day. So there's also something called open graph field. So this is the information used generally on social networks and by messenger tools. So it kind of is a similar thing. It's a similar field. It's usually in the same place if your CMS supports it. So WordPress does support it. Mm-hmm. Most WordPress SEO plugins. So having custom open graph image for the important pages as well, and custom open graph text, and tweaking that a little bit because the open graph fields are a little bit longer than the SEO fields. And I think I have an example here. Let me just see.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you got an example.
I don't have an example. I can switch. Okay. Let me grab one of these windows here.
We're going high tech now. We're switching from slides to another window.
Live demo head. Live. We're going live.
We're live, but we're not live because this is being recorded. But you know what we're saying.
It's live TV, Ed. Let me give you an example here. This is a good one. I've just got to log in my Facebook to do it. Okay, so I will use. This is one of our businesses, WP Speedfix, where we fix slow websites or your money back. Which is
a lot of websites.
It's a lot of websites.
There's a lot of slow websites out there.
Sure, it looks okay. Okay, so let me grab this. Can you see that?
Yep, I can see that. Right. It's popped up over the top. Cool.
So this is a tool from Facebook. So it'll tell you what your open graph tags look like, or what the site will look like when it's shared in Facebook and pretty much any social network or messaging tool that uses open graph fields. So it gives you a whole bunch of stuff. So I just stuck the URL wpspeedfix.com. I've gone fetch you. A Facebook ad. So you can see here very clearly your WordPress speed problem solved permanently. It's a nice pretty image. It's clear, it's high contrast, and you know exactly what the business is about when you see that in any sort of tool. And we actually have customized this text here. So we've written custom open graph text.
Yep.
Different to our page title and meta description. So this text, WordPress speed optimization specialists, your WordPress speed problem solved or your money back. So
cool. Yep.
It's effectively like a free Facebook ad in a sense. And you can see here if I scroll back up. So this page has 163 likes on Facebook. So this has been, seen by at least 160 people on Facebook, if not a lot more. So because it gets shared pretty regularly, but it's a small little thing. It took maybe, we have a template for these images, so it probably took us 5 minutes, 10 minutes to create that image.
Yeah.
We're doing meta descriptions anyway, so it's just a part of that. So typically we would do a custom image that works across the entire site, and then we would do an image for specific pages that are getting a lot of traffic. So
yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. Cool. All right. What next? Mouse is going to be crazy. All right, tracking and analytics.
Yeah, the exciting stuff. People love tracking and analytics, Brendan.
I know.
This is where people are rubbing their hands together with excitement.
Putting our nerd goggles on.
Yeah, there's nothing people like better than getting into some good old analytics. It is interesting, though, because most people don't like data or this sort of stuff. But as we've said a million times, you have to measure. What you measure, you can manage.
Yeah. So probably the biggest tool we started using in the last 18 months is callrail.com for phone call tracking to tell us the source of phone calls customers are getting. So that's probably the biggest one, and there is a cost associated with it. But again, in a world where marketing is getting more and more expensive, and I think in 2019 people are going to get a bit of a shock when they see how much the cost of SEO agencies are charging a lot more now. We are now too.
It's a lot of work. That's why.
It's a lot of work.
This is people. They complain that of the prices, but when they sit down and try and do it themselves, they go, okay, this is like hundreds of hours worth of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly on e-commerce sites, as you mentioned before, when you've got hundreds of products, you've got to do this for every page for every product.
Yeah,
that's a huge job for e-commerce.
Yeah. So CallRail is a big one. Let's walk through the other ones. Lucky Orange, which is like a heat map tool. Lucky Orange or Hotjar. Drift to live chat we've talked about fairly extensively. Yeah. We use a tool called Agency Analytics, which is a dashboard tool, which even if you're just a business owner DIYing it, that would be worth looking at. Yep. Google Search Console, SERPFox, or most rank trackers are the same. We like SERPFox. Conversion tracking in Google Analytics and Google Analytics e-commerce tracking. Probably another one that most people don't do very well. And I think we have an episode on CRM as well. So
we do, yeah.
Yeah, a CRM to track customers. So again, sometimes the websites are just a pure lead generation website. They're just generating inquiries. So, someone calls and then the bit that happens after that is really important as well, and that bit's often neglected. Something
like Zoho or
so tracking those inquiries and making sure that they're responded to appropriately. We use ActiveCampaign for CRM, so and then review monitoring we've talked about as well. So Agency Analytics does that. Actually, we use that for review monitoring now. I don't think there's much more to say there. We've kind of talked about that in previous episodes, and it's all pretty straightforward. What gets measured gets managed.
Awesome.
Cool. Okay, let's talk some tech stuff.
Haven't we been doing that already? To most people,
we're nearly at the end. So.
I think most people who would classify everything we've talked about as tech stuff.
This is the real tech stuff.
Yeah, this is we're getting into so if you haven't fallen asleep already, and that was nothing against Brendan, of course. That was just the subject matter to many can be quite challenging.
Yep.
But you've got to pay attention to it, because I can guarantee you your competitors are doing this stuff themselves, or they're paying someone to get it done. And the longer time passes, the harder it is to get traction to get back to where you need to. So every day you delay is a day you're wasting on getting this stuff working for you.
Yeah. So let's run through this quickly, because it's all straightforward. There's no rocket science here. So good quality hosting, that's fast. And we use Uptime Robot to monitor the uptime. So
it is, though, just to focus on this, it is a subject that a lot of people really don't get. They just think hosting is hosting is hosting. So there is a significant difference between your cheap $3 a month, $5 a month hosting a lot of people can get, to high quality, fast hosting. So it's probably worth just touching on a little bit more. Just so, what is the difference between $5 a month hosting and $50 a month hosting? There's obviously got to be a difference.
Yeah. So the main difference is you got really two things there. So one is on cheap hosting. How do they get that hosting so cheap? They stack 10,000 other websites on that same server and run it as hard as they can. They're running that server into the red line.
Yeah.
So, your website is competing for resources with all these other sites. And usually those servers aren't configured great. You might, particularly if you have old hosting, you've had hosting for a long time, they haven't upgraded those servers. They're still running on the same crappy hardware they were when you bought the hosting account, because it costs money to move the hosting and do upgrades. So they already have you as a customer. Why would they upgrade? There's no benefit to them spending that money. So it's this thing called contention ratio. It's how many sites are competing for those resources, basically. So on a cheap host, they're giving you that cheap price because they are stacking thousands of other sites on that server. It's not super secure either. It's likely going down a lot and you don't know about it. So that's why we say you need good quality hosting that's fast. So good quality means it doesn't go down under heavy load. Fast, makes sense that the site needs to load fast. That's why we have a whole business, WP Speedfix, around making sites fast.
Yeah.
And then Uptime Robot. So Uptime Robot is a good way to monitor for problems. So if the site's down, it hurts your SEO rankings. You can't sell anything. If you're paying for advertising, people are coming to a dead site.
Yeah.
So
there's lots more. So here's the thing. We've done an episode on this probably several times. So we can put a link to the hosting related stuff.
Yeah.
But it is very underrated in how important it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a big one. So
yeah.
And the next one, particularly
backups. Yeah, I had a customer the other day who deleted the backups and then emptied the trash in their hosting admin console. I'm like,
Oh,
very smart thing to do. He was tidying up. I'm like, okay. We did have a backup. We have backups on top of backups, so we had a backup for that. He called me in a bit of a panic, and I was like, okay, we have a backup. Don't worry, we've got you covered. But yeah, backups and protecting the domain name. That was the other thing we've talked about.
And that's and again, we've done these before. The backup side of things, not just stuff on your normal computer and phone, but we're talking about your actual website, backing up that sort of stuff, backing up your email. Like I know you and I use, I think, Backupify to back up our email through Gmail.
Yep.
And I've never had, let's be clear, I've never had a loss or a failure with Gmail, but it doesn't mean it will never happen.
We've had twice where staff have deleted documents accidentally.
Okay, right. But it was a staff thing, not caused by Gmail. But that's a good point, because it could be a staff thing where they've deleted documents accidentally or cleared rubbish bins and whatever it is.
Yep.
So that's very important to have those types of backups in place, and it's not expensive to do. But the one that is the biggest one that people completely don't get is that everything we've talked about hinges off the fact that you renew your domain name and don't lose it. Because if that happens, everything we're talking about is up the shit. There's no backup for it. There's no recovery. So if your domain name expires because you haven't updated your credit card details, or you've got something incorrect with your contact details in the registrar when you register a domain, if it goes into the open market, if it's not a trademarked business protected name, if it's something generic that all of a sudden is available for someone else to buy, you've got potentially a month or two with your site down, which is terrible, and your emails, because it's all pinned off the same thing. And then if you have to get that domain back, you're potentially going to have to pay a lot of money to someone who's bought it, or pay for it in an auction in the aftermarket. Most people have no clue that this is a daily thing that happens, just because they weren't on top of their domain name. So you really need to take control of your domain name. Don't leave it up to your webmaster or someone who you bought the name through. Everything pins off this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's tragic what happens. So can't emphasize that enough.
3 things there: Uptime Robot, backups and protecting your domain name, they are like the foundational component. If you
Mm-hmm.
screw up any of those, if the site's going down, the site gets deleted or gets hacked or something goes wrong with the data, or
Yep.
you lose the domain name, then you're screwed. All the SEO is gone. Like that's just it. Like it doesn't. All that investment, those rankings are gone and they don't come back. Especially if you lose the domain name, you're
Yeah.
gone. Rankings are tied to the domain name. So
there's a reason they're at the top there of this tech stuff.
yeah, well, like so some domains you can renew long into the future, like .coms. I think 10 years you can renew it. So
Yeah, and .com.au now it's changed.
Really?
You can do it for 5 years.
Yep. So, and the cost is like it's like a couple $100. Like just do it. Like then you can kind of forget about it for a bit.
Yeah. So very important stuff. So keyword content matching.
We've talked about before. So a piece of content for every keyword.
Yep.
Well optimized pages. So you're not just optimizing for search, you're optimizing to get a conversion. So not just a page full of keywords. That doesn't work either anymore.
No, it hasn't for a long time.
So don't do that. Remember they're people and they want to buy stuff.
Yeah,
So
people first. Yeah, very good point.
Yep. And that last point there where I have, process street document, that's a checklist that we give away to clients when they're creating content, because a lot of the time they create content but it's done badly from an optimization perspective. So that is a simple checklist to get you started, and you could run your existing pages through that checklist as well. I think there's a few videos in it too that explain why.
Awesome.
And those are simple things like when you add images to a page, make sure the image file name kind of explains what the image is. You should be able to see what the image is based on the file name. That's a simple SEO thing that makes a big difference across the site. So there's a lot of stuff like that in it. Other stuff like adding contact us forms to individual services pages. So that's kind of tied into that well-optimized page point. And then on-page SEO checking, there's probably a lot of things that are broken on the site. So we use a tool called SEMrush for auditing. You run it and it'll tell you, hey, you've got 20 images or 20 links that are broken on the site. So stuff like that, easily missed. It'll happen, particularly with old sites. So you're paying for SEMrush. If you're DIYing, pay for SEMrush. You only have to pay for it for a month. I think it has a free 7-day trial as well.
Yeah. Very good point.
A site auditor and fix that stuff up. Pretty straightforward.
Cool.
So, but there's a link there to that process street template. You can click that.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Okay. And then links. We talked about backlinks. Like we can't talk about SEO without links. Some simple ways to get links. Claim all the maps listings.
Yep.
Be a real business. So claim the maps listings, claim your social properties, claim anything that's relevant to your market, those properties as well. Any video and audio you're creating, content you're creating, push it on the relevant platform. So if you're making video, put that video on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Vimeo, Dailymotion, share it on LinkedIn, share it on Twitter, share it on Pinterest.
Yeah, link back to the page on your website that's relevant to the content.
Yep. And remember, it's not just backlinks, it's activity as well that matters.
Yep.
Citations, so that's a local SEO technique that pretty much any business with a name, address, and phone number can use. So citations are business directories in a way. That's a simple way to explain it. So Yellow Pages, True Local, Yelp, those sort of those sort of sites are good sites to get backlinks from. They're not great backlinks, but it's there's probably for most businesses at least 100 of those you can go and grab. Nice, simple. Getting on podcasts is a great way to get backlinks. So, or starting a podcast as well. So,
that's why we started one, Brendan.
Just for backlinks?
No. We wanted to talk to each other on a weekly or so basis.
Yeah.
But no, podcast, it's an authority builder. Again, it's not just about links. People watch podcasts, they listen to what you're talking about, they get to know you, like you, trust you. So it fits into all the stuff we've talked about.
Yep.
It's very important. And Gary Vaynerchuk says everyone should have one. And so does Seth Godin as well. Two very influential leaders in online related topics and business and marketing.
Yeah.
I think Seth Godin said podcasts are the new version of a blog post. He said that in one of his episodes.
It doesn't necessarily need to be audio. My friend Dan from the Tropical MBA talks about, particularly for a professional services business, if people have an hour or two of audio they can listen to on the website, content they can consume on the website. It doesn't have to be a podcast with repeat stuff. Then that can go a long way because it's
true. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
It's like cloning yourself, right? Like we
Mm-hmm.
spend an hour and a half or whatever talking today, and then it's, we're cloned. So someone has a question about membership sites, we can give them this link, and this stuff lives on for a long time.
Yeah, too true.
And then partners and affiliates, there are other ways to get links. So those are simple stuff. You don't need to like have a complicated SEO link building strategy. Those are basics, things that you can do easily. And
most people aren't. So if they got a lot of this stuff right, they'd be improving what they've got right now by 80% probably, which is important to get on top of.
Cool. I think that's it. I think that's the last slide, Ed.
Is that the last slide, Brendan? That's disappointing. I was hoping it was going to go on for another hour.
I had a closing slide there, but
it had a closing slide. We don't need that.
Yeah.
So we're going to go back to not sharing the screen anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, we don't need to anymore because we're done with it. So you can click off.
I don't know how to do that, Ed.
Oh, I think one of the buttons at the top there, Brendan. I think. Down the bottom with the share.
I don't even know. I've got two screens. There it is. I lost it.
Oh, there it is. He lost it.
Yeah.
See, it just goes to show, look, we're back with just our heads. It just goes to show you don't have to be super technical to get things to work.
Yeah.
And I consider Brendan to be very technical.
Well, I get confused with two screens. I've got like a billion windows open. I'm like, I don't even know where that window is.
I know. It's the lack of sleep, mate. It's the lack of sleep.
Well, I don't know. It's just.
Well, you're getting old. Getting old, maybe could be it. You're still younger than me, but you're getting older.
I know.
You're getting close to that. The big 4-0. So anyway,
way to make me feel great about myself, Ed.
Mate, it's my job. So thank you, mate.
There, right?
That's a lot of stuff, but there's a syntax to it that we've started from the beginning of what you need to do. So
it's also a huge amount of work too. It's not like that's probably a couple of months worth of work for our team. If you're DIYing it, that could be 6 or 12 months worth of work. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and that's the realism of why we say you've got to knuckle down and get this stuff done yourself, or you got to pay someone to do it.
Yeah. When we started doing workshops, I don't think whenever we were doing it, 2009, 2010, I don't think we realized we often had people in a panic when it was like overload. I don't think we kind of didn't push that point across enough that it's like, this is a lot of stuff. This is like the whole picture.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that was back in the day when we were doing whole day workshops with 7 different presenters talking about people's heads were going,
yeah,
they were exploding. And when we were just talking about SEO, we weren't talking about ad. And look, and I do really, really have empathy for small businesses and small business people and owners who have to try and do all this stuff themselves. They don't have dedicated marketing managers on their team to look after this sort of stuff. And even if you've got one of those, it doesn't necessarily mean it's getting done right, just to be clear. But you've got to learn how to do it all yourself, implement it yourself, or you got to pay someone else. There's really no other options. So it's very overwhelming. It's not like it was 15 years ago, as we keep saying, where you put an ad in the Yellow Pages or your local newspaper or a TV ad and you sort of forget about it for 12 months. It's way more complex to be in the world of business. Technically, it's a level playing field, sort of. I disagree with components of that statement, but it is a lot of work regardless.
I think the simple stuff there, fast hosting, care for your domain name. You need a page of content for every keyword you're targeting. For online courses, the simplest way is to repurpose paid content, take the nuggets out of it, some value that doesn't give away the whole thing. Give that away publicly so Google can index it. Like, you don't necessarily have to hide it behind an opt-in. If you hide it behind an opt-in, Google won't find it. So
absolutely, yeah, because they don't know your password. They're clever, but they're not that clever.
Yeah.
All right, mate, that's been fantastic. Episode number 99. So the next one coming up, episode 100, can you believe it? We've been going that long. It's a bit of a dedication episode to a good friend of ours, James Martell, who passed away a couple of months ago from a brain aneurysm, which was tragic and also a reminder of living each day to the fullest, which he did for sure. And James started something called the Affiliate Buzz, which is the longest running podcast that I'm aware of on any subject that he's on the internet. He started back in 2002, I think it was. And that was the first podcast I ever listened to, was James Martell and his podcast. And that got me interested in podcasting. And I do not think I would have started a podcast if it wasn't for his help and guidance to get going, along also with my business partner, Alan Stewart, who had a podcast back in the early days as well. So it was a combination of people, but James was a huge influencer. So I did an interview with James a few years back that didn't get published for various reasons. We were waiting some things to come out that he was working on that we talked about in the podcast. And I only just recently discovered it. So I thought it would be fitting as a dedication to him to actually have that on the show. So that's what episode number 100 is going to be. So just for those who are wondering what that will be. So thank you again for tuning in. Thanks, Brendan, for all your insights into search engine optimization. And we will catch you on the next episode. Bye for now. Take care. See ya.